I've got about a week until the Suikoden Remasters comes out. I'll just play Armored Core 6, which I got as a birthday present, he tells himself. I then find myself 3 weeks later finishing the third consecutive playthrough with no drop off to make sure that I got the true ending of it. When I would stop playing Armored Core to take a break or something like that, I'd be like, I don't know, sitting on the toilet or like in the living room with my eyes closed, my vision just shimmering. This game is like the most visually brain frontal cortex overload game I've ever played. My succinct kind of take on it, which might sound a bit weird, people who really, really like the game, I think it's reductive. But like Armored Core 6 is like a perfect 8 or 8.5 out of 10 video game. Like, it's somewhat limited by the mission structure and by all narrative coming from um, basically narration and voices, and also a lot more of the story coming from someone talking to you while you're fighting them. Do you understand how little brain power I have left for listening to what this guy's saying to me as I'm fighting him? But overall, like, it's insanely fun. It's insanely responsive. Similar to other FromSoft games, you can either play a way that looks good and probably make it work. It's not that hard a game, really, with a few exceptions. Or you can like really get down to the weeds of like, well, I need a little more vertical thrust, and I think actually my melee specialization isn't quite proper with these arms. All the mechs look terrific. Whenever I fight like a major boss at the end of each playthrough, like Handler Walter, or Air, or All Mind Iguazu, though I haven't played the game a fourth time to see whether I can get the All Mind Iguazu set from the arena, I would look at it and be like, oh man, I gotta play again because I want that set. The first time I played, I did like a heavy big dog combo, kind of looked like the Iron Giant. Second time, using the Handler Walter set with the Moonlight Sword. And then the third time, basically, eventually using the full All Mine set, and then basically being able to get coral weapons on each hand and two turrets. And there's not really much I can say about this that's like that mind blowing. Some battles you have to kind of treat differently because you don't have iframes, even though you do have the dodge. So basically, for the very, very last boss, which I found exceptionally difficult, by the way, you had to realize you have to kind of like float around him and dodge through him because you're just not going to dodge these goddamn Wolverine claws this guy has. Um, and then, typically speaking, the customization options are amazing. All the mechs look terrific. It's like a fast, responsive game. It feels good. It's not particularly deep, but there is depth there if you want it. Um, and then I guess sort of the main thing I was sort of tackling a little bit at the end is I like that there's multiple layers to the story in terms of using the same arenas to tell a different story with each playthrough. There are some options along the way. And ultimately, if you love what it gives it to you so, so good. It's a little bit of like a narrow hallway to some degree, but extremely fun. And sometimes the bosses I had the most difficulty with, like All Mind Iguazu, were mostly because I just refused to change my story, refused to change my playstyle. I was like, no, I'm going to do it because I like my coral rifle and I like my coral gun and my two turrets. I'm just going to do it. And so it takes a long time, but you learn a lot about the game when you really, really struggle. There's so many things about maintaining distance in terms of what like targeting system you have, and it's basically looking at the reticle for when you're actually locked onto someone or not. That I needed to get my ass absolutely whooped to start to learn. So I don't know, good game to play once or twice. Seemingly, from some people who came in, a good game to completely deep dive and nerd in onto, and extremely fun. Definitely recommended.